you're sad, if you're lonely, if you have no friends but you need someone, if you think, oh, is this all there is to life, if you feel like you're in a tunnel that has no end, if you want your emotions validated, if you want inspiration, if you want to see the beauty and the pain in the world, expand your vision, escape the boredom, escape reality, and enter a whole new world, because mind you, it is an entirely new world, this is your video, because these books are going to do that for you. Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing very nice. I'm sending a lot of hugs and positivity to all of you. Hi, if you're new, welcome to the channel. I really hope you enjoy the content, and if you do, please do consider subscribing. I have divided the books in 4 categories, which I will explain as I go on, but there are timestamps. I started my reading journey when I was having all of the feelings and the questions that I was talking about in the beginning of the video, and I read a few books lying here and there because Reels and TikTok was not really a thing at that time, and I was bored, so I was like, you know, why not just pick up this book? I have it, might as well read it. And my entire world changed. It changed to a degree where I made it my job. I want to do the same for you. I cannot accept the fact, I will not live with the fact that you are out there in a hole thinking to yourself, oh my god, like this is what my life is, this is what it's going to be forever, this is not where I want to be, things like that. I am gonna get you out of it, and one of the best ways to do that is read these books. There are many other ways too, which I'll be discussing on my channel here and there, but one of the best ways are these books. They are portals into new worlds for you to see, oh my god, the world is a big place and this is not it. The first category is where multiple people cross each other's path and they inspire each other to look at their mundane, sad, lonely life with their own singular problems in a different light. Their perspectives change for no apparent reason. It's not like the other person is doing something, they just feel inspired because they are able to look outside of their own minds. The first book I'll recommend is The People on Platform 5 by Claire Pooley. This is the story of a bunch of people that take the same train, that are always on platform 5, but they all have these unsaid rules that you can't really talk to each other on the train. It is just weird, nobody does that, until one day this man is about to die and the entire train carriage is disrupted to save this man, and that changes everything. And as you move ahead, you see from all of their POVs what their personal problems are and how just meeting each other and seeing each other has changed their own perspective towards things, how they build a community to change their own lives. For people like me who don't really trust people very easily, I don't find huge groups of people very comfortable, I like to stay in my solitude, this book is a gem because it makes me realize that there is apparently goodness and humanity out there in the world. The language is very easy to read, and any age group above like 14 can read this book. Next similar book is The Reading List by Sarah Nisha Adams, which I have recommended multiple times because it is one of the books that reminds you of how books can genuinely change your life, how fiction stories are not just stories that do not exist at all and they're not applicable in the real world at all. It makes you realize how the emotions and the feelings and the experiences captured in fictional stories are actually as close as it gets to the truth. This also has multiple characters and multiple POVs where these people are crossing each other's path and inspiring each other by doing the littlest things. If you are sad and lonely right now, you will see that you can find a friend in books, and there are people out there who are meant for you. Next, very similar to The Reading List, is What You Are Looking For Is in the Library by Michiko Aoyama, translated by Alison Watts. This is translated from Japanese, so if you want to get into Japanese literature, this is where you can start. If you're looking for a cozy book to have with your tea or your coffee or your matcha or even your water, whatever beverage you like, this is your book. I started reading this book in the morning with my coffee, and that entire week, I remember, is one of the best morning week I had, because every morning I would just get my coffee and read one of the chapters. It's almost like a collection of short stories because these different people are going to the library and this librarian is recommending books to them that is changing their life, not because they're self-help books or because they're just completely life-changing books. It's because they're just giving these people a new perspective to look at life. For example, in the first story itself, it is giving the character the perspective to look at cooking in a different way, and that is it. It helps you to cozy up your own life, and you do not have to read the entire book at once. You can read one story of one person on one day and read the next story on some other day. They are connected through the library and the librarian, but you can definitely read it like short stories too. Very easy to read, very beginner friendly, and any age group can read it. Next, one of the best books ever is Anxious People by Frederick Backman, which is the story of a bank robbery gone wrong because 7 strangers are locked in together with a bank robber because the robbery went wrong, and then you get into the head of all of these people. It also has multiple POV. This book, while it is cozy, it is heart-wrenching, it is intense. Some of the topics discussed can be triggering, so do look up for the trigger warning, but it is beautiful and it is delightful, and at the end of the book there is just something inside you that will ignite, like this tiny flame of something will ignite. So if you feel like you're in a hole and there's darkness all around, this will be the light for you, because it has been for many people. It has been for me and my brother. We love this book so much, both of us, and these characters stay with you forever. It's just the best book ever. I'm only now realizing how many of these books are about books, because the next book is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This is the story of Nora, who is going through the darkest time there can be in the beginning of the book, and then she enters this midnight library after a few things happen, where each book is the other life that she could have lived. So when she opens the book, she can see what her life would look like if she made some choices that were different from what she made in her real life. I highly recommend this book if you feel like all the choices that you have made in your life are wrong and you're stupid and you do not know how you're supposed to be living your life, and it all feels hopeless, because that is what Nora is feeling in this book, and so it will be utterly relatable for you. This book can get cheesy, but I think that everything that Nora is going through, and if you're going through a similar phase, those things are not cheesy, okay? Those are the things that you need to hear at times like that, because it can definitely be life-changing. It can definitely be the light at the end of the tunnel. If you ever feel like, what have I done with my life, it is amounting into nothing, this is your book. Easy to read, beginner friendly, but it's 16 plus. Next we have, it's a little weird, but it is what it is. The book is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellers. This is the story of Cleopatra and Frankenstein, who get married 6 months after meeting each other, but then as you move ahead, you see how their marriage is affecting the people around them, their family members. You get into the POVs of all of these people, and when you get into these point of views, you are looking at Cleopatra and Frankenstein in a much more like 3D, 4D manner, instead of just looking at their relationship from their own mind. Along with that, when you're getting into the different POVs, you're also reading where those characters are at in their lives, and all of the characters are not relatable in this. Different characters will be relatable to different people, and even if they are not relatable, I just think that these people actually exist in the real world. They are very realistic characters, and this book just shows you how everything is not happy-go-lucky all the time. It's not always sunshine and rainbows, but just like you can't always be happy, you also can't always be sad. It ends. The pain ends. What it is like to just be a human being, going through mental health problems, going through physical problems, going through problems of being accepted by the society. There are so many problems that just being human can cause, and so many of them are captured beautifully in this book. Some analogies in this book that I still keep thinking about. For example, there's this part where one of the characters is telling a story of how there is a man in the hole, and multiple people come and try to help the man so that he is not lonely down there. At the end of the day, the person that helps the man the most is the person who gets into the hole with him, because now he's not lonely anymore. And that is just so gripping, because sometimes we try to do whatever we can to get someone out of a dark place, get someone out of like sadness and misery, but sometimes they just need company. So many parts in this book that are so philosophical. It's easy to read, but the different POVs can be a little confusing and even at times boring, so please be careful about that. And secondly, it is 18 plus. In the end, in this category, we have Hello Beautiful by Anne Napolitano, manner which, oh my god, if you do not understand what feminism is, if you do not understand what equality means, what freedom of choice is as a person for men and for women, then this is the perfect book. It is the story of four sisters who are inseparable. One of them has this entirely perfect life planned for her, like this will happen, this will happen, this will happen, and then she meets a man who is perfect for that life, and so they get married. But as they move forward, there are problems in their marriage, and this one man is causing so much trouble for these four sisters. It is very much like Little Women, which is just amazing because Little Women was the coziest book I have ever read, and it was so powerful. This book is equally powerful, but the language is much easier because it is not a classic. It has multiple POVs, and then there is elements of romance, there's elements of parental love, there is elements of sisterhood, feminism, misogyny, having your own choice. It's empowering. It's just the best book in the world. And what happens when things don't go according to plan, and relationships, how they can affect your life, whatever relationship it may be, just how it can affect your life and how you navigate your way through them. You see these characters doing it, and it's just the most beautiful thing ever. And I love the writing style. It is a little bit difficult to read, so I won't recommend it to a complete beginner. Like, it should not be your first book, though if you want it to be, make it, who cares. But if you've read even like 2-3 books and you like literary fiction, or you love the movie Little Women, even if you have not read the book, then you will love this book. Next category is books from the POV of teenagers or from the POV of children. I have always said this before, any book written from the POV of children and of teenagers is just so eye-opening because they are so vulnerable. Emotions are just coming out more and more in a raw, authentic manner. And though all of these books are great for teenagers, and I am mainly recommending these books for you, I just think that as adults also it's really important that you read these books, because as you become an adult, now that I am growing as an adult every day, it's so easy to forget all of these vulnerabilities and raw emotions of life. But it is so important, because if you don't experience these emotions in life, if you are not feeling things, then what are you doing as a human being? What makes human are the feelings. Everything else can be done elsewhere, but feeling is what being human is for me. Starting with Begin Again by Emma Lord. This is the story of Andy, who has perfectly planned out her life. She is going to a college so that she can be with her boyfriend over there. She wants to walk in the shoes of her mother that she has lost, and once she is able to do all of these things, she is going to feel closer to her mother. She's going to live with her boyfriend. But when she goes to the college, her boyfriend is not there, and just surviving in that college, in that university, is a task, and she is not ready for it. Along with her dealing with the grievances of losing her mother, the entire philosophy of beginning again, this is the best book for it. If you are in school or in college, or even if you're like in masters and things, and you just find it difficult to go to your school, to go to your college, to make friends, if you find it difficult to be in a group of people because you're dealing with your own shit, then this is the perfect book for you, because all of these characters are going through something or the other. The side characters don't feel like side characters because they have their own lives going on, and whatever they are doing based on their life is also affecting our main character's life. It's beautiful, it's easy to read. There is a very tiny plot of romance which is just so cute and adorable. One of the best college romances that I have ever read, even if it was a very tiny plot. Great for teenagers. It's inspiring, it's beautiful, it shows you how beautiful the world can be, and it has a lot of coffee mentions in it. That is just a bonus. I love coffee. Next is The Boy at the Back of the Class by Anjali Q. Rao. This is the story of the boy at the back of the class who never smiles, and these 3 kids are like, oh my god, why does he never smile, and he's a new kid. So they decide, okay, this is the thing, we are going to make him smile no matter what. And when they go on this journey of trying to make him smile, they realize that the kid is a refugee. They learn so many more things about what it is like to be a refugee, what is a war, this, that, all of this said from a kid's perspective. They're like 9-10 years old, and that just changes everything, because when you're reading about war, and when you're reading about war from like an adult's POV, it's like you have to accept what is, and you look at it so practically. Like, adults look at it so practically and they don't let the emotions and the pain just pour out. But this book is like, what war? Why war? And this, it just asks these questions because these kids are just like, wait, what is going on? It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense why these things will happen. They just want to make their friend happy. They just want to make their friend smile. And oh, the number of times I cried reading this book, because I just really wish that everybody in the world thought like this. Please, like, even adults, I just wish everybody changed and thought like this. Oh, I highly recommend this book. Any age group can read it. Next, we have Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This video wouldn't be complete without it, because this is the first book I read which made me realize how there are some books out there in the world who define the teenage experience in the best way possible. This is that book. It also portrays how, so many of these books actually portray how when you're a teenager, your exams, this college you get into, the school you get into, all of these things seem like the end of the world. They actually genuinely do. And nobody gets that, how much end of the world it feels like. So if you're going through that experience where you're like, oh my god, what do I do? Because nobody is understanding just how difficult it can be, you read this book, because this book will be like, yes, you're absolutely right, and everything you're feeling is true. It's so validating. It is so heartwarming, because Frances, I think, is the topper, the overachiever, and I love her. I want to give her a warm hug. It's a beautiful book and I highly recommend it. It's very easy to read. Next up, we have Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. This one is not about your school or your college experiences, but mainly when you're a teenager. It happens to adults too, but mainly when you're a teenager. If you are an introvert and you find it hard to open up to people, I think you will really like this book, because it is a story of the love of Aristotle and Dante. But Aristotle is such a relatable character when it comes to being an introvert and what it is like to navigate friendships, and how it feels when you find that one person who genuinely understands you when you thought that nobody will ever understand you. And I need you to read this book and see Aristotle and how he can be so much like you, and then see that there is a Dante out there for everybody. Even if you're feeling lonely right now, if you feel unseen, if you feel misunderstood, if you feel like nobody in the world will be safe enough for you to open up, I need you to read this book and see it will happen. I need you to see the magic. Easy to read, all age groups can read it, and I highly recommend it. Next, we have Miss Ice Sandwich by Meiko Kawakami, translated by Louis Heel Kawai. This is the story of a 4-year-old who is trying to navigate his childhood, and he is just so fascinated by this woman at the department store where she packs up the egg sandwiches that he gets, and so he tries to get an egg sandwich every single day just so he can look at this woman. And this woman has this big blue eyes which remind him of ice sandwiches, and so he calls her Miss Ice Sandwich. It is such a thin book. I just feel like you do not get enough time to get deep into the story. They are not able to capture all of the feelings properly, but I'm not even a child. Even then I cried. We all have an inner child, and I feel like that inner child cries. So even though it was a very thin book, it was beautiful. It was amazing. It was heartwarming. Even if you are an adult, especially an adult, and if you have any sort of relationship with your inner child, then this book is going to be the devastation and the heartwarming hug you need in your life. Read this. Next, we have The Giver by Lois Lowry. This is just straight up for you to see what it would be like if you lived in a world where there was no pain, because we always keep complaining about, oh my god, pain, no, I don't want pain, no, please. Dude, if you don't have pain, you don't have the beauty, and that is what this book proves. It's the story of this world where there is no war, there is no pain, but there is a receiver of memory who gets the memories of a world where war and pain existed, and then he realizes, wait, there is just so much more to the world that we don't know about, and we see the adventure that he goes on. It's beautiful, very easy to read. Yet again, a kid's book that is very important for adults. In the end, we have Sophie's World by Josten Garder. You can read it as a teenager, but I don't recommend it to everybody. If you like philosophies, if you are into history and those subjects in school, then you will really enjoy this book. Or if you're an adult, you're in college, then you will enjoy this book. It is a story of Sophie who is just wandering about the world when she gets this envelope which has philosophies in it. And then we see this little girl receive multiple envelopes packed with information about these multiple philosophies of the world. And because she's 15 years old, it is written in a way that is understandable by a 14-year-old in real life. Oh wait, she's 14. Sorry, she's 14. This is the best recommendation when it comes to when you feel like, oh my god, is this it there is to the world? What, you wake up, you go to school or you go to your job, and then you just come back home and you sleep, and you work and you sleep, and you study and you sleep. Is this it? Is this what there is to life? No, there is not. You will read this book and you will realize that is not true when you're going through these different philosophies, because this book is about the universe and the world and everything that comes in it. So when you read this book, you realize it's a big world out there. Physically also, it's a big world. Like Earth is a big place in itself, but along with that, your mind, it's all here. It's all here. And this place can be huge. It can be huge even if you don't travel outside your room, because I don't like going outside a lot. Expand this and you are going to start living in a much bigger world. That is what this book shows you. This can be information heavy and boring because of the information, which is why I say it's not for everybody, but I highly recommend it if you're at all into philosophy, or if you ever feel like the mundane life is too mundane and you need more. You just need more in your life. The next category is books to romanticize your life, and I only have 3 books for it, but they're amazing, starting with the one book that I read that changed my life, and it is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This is the story of a dreamer, Santiago, who leaves everything that he already owns. He quits upon everything and he takes on a journey to achieve his dream. The reason I say it romanticizes your life is because it is no way in the world realistic. Like the things that happen in this world, they're spiritual, yes, but also they're very fantastical, and that's what Paulo Coelho does. He adds a lot of fantastical elements to his books, which can be fictional, but there are concepts in this book, like the concepts of getting signs, the concept of chasing recurring dreams. So many things happen in this book that even though they won't exactly happen in the real world, things like this are happening in the world at all times if you want to see it. So if you are a dreamer at heart, even if you are a teenager, if you feel creative, if you feel like you want to make art out of nothing, if you feel things like that, then this is the perfect book for you, because this will feed your soul. It won't feed your mind, it won't feed your heart, it will feed your soul. It will make you want to just scream out of relief that something like this exists, because I have spent so many nights just lying down in the darkness when I was a kid, like when I was a teenager, thinking about the ways of the world, thinking about the body, thinking about the soul. I have always thought about these things, what it is like to dream, what it is like to not have a mundane life every single day, and I never was validated for it because nobody cares. Everybody is always talking about how you need to make money, how you need to get better grades, how you need to have better relationships and things like that. But the relationship with yourself, what about your own dreams, and what being a dreamer is like, and how hopeless it can feel at some times, but also how exhilarating it can be at times. All of those things are captured so beautifully in this short little book. So I highly recommend this book to you. The next 2 books are Legends and Lattes and Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. This book romanticizes coffee and this book romanticizes books. Along with that, we have a main character who has had a past, which we sort of explore in this book, who is now trying to change her path, and she's trying to set up a coffee shop in a place that does not know what coffee is, and that in itself can be so inspiring. Looking at Viv trying to change the entire path of her life, discovering these small pleasures in life, and then trying to share it with the people that don't know that it exists, is so inspiring. Honestly, it's very relatable, because that's sort of what I'm trying to do even with this video, where I have read these books and I have felt things in myself and they are so beautiful, and I want to share it with you. That is what Viv is doing in these books. This book has made me have my coffee every single day in a much different manner than I used to. God, I used to have coffee in 1 mug every day. Like I would get my espresso out in my cup and in that itself I would put some ice, or I would have it hot, or I would put some ice and a straw in that itself and have it. And now after reading the book, every morning is a delight. It is a delight because I get to decide which mug to have it in, which blend to have, whether I'll have it with the milk or not, and it is beautiful. I get to taste the coffee fully. There's just so much romanticizing I have done to this one thing which I was just doing normally anyhow, and that is what life is about. Romanticizing the little things, romanticizing the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, because nobody is going on a vacation every single day. Nobody is doing something new every single day, okay? It's just not true. Even if social media portrays it to be, that is just like a highlight reel. So how do you romanticize your life without going on a vacation every single day and things like that? You romanticize the little things in life. Those were the cozy books. Now we're going to talk about books where the main character, their lives have just been shattered. They were going on a certain path and then boom, things happen because of which their life is entirely shattered, or they've had a realization and now they're building up themselves from scratch. Let's start with 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khalid Hosseini. He has also written 2 other books, but I just don't think they're appropriate for this video. This is the story of 2 women who have decided to not accept things the way they are. It is set up in the times where the Taliban takes over in Kabul, and these 2 women who have this beautiful bond have just decided to embrace this journey in their own different ways, but they embrace this journey and not let their past or not let society, the norms, define what they're going to do. It is so empowering. The female friendship is beautiful, and just seeing these 2 characters go through this journey of just doing what they think they should be doing is so empowering. I'm warning you, it kills you, you know, the pain in this book. But also that last page, when you're finishing this book, you're just like, you just feel something. You feel so empowered. Next is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. This is a story of Eleanor Oliphant who has a very set routine of what she will do during the weekdays, what she will do during the weekends, and she has not deteriorated from it, except one day something happens because of which there's a slight chink in the routine that she has. She wants to change just a little bit, and then that just a little bit starts building up, and you see how her entire life is disrupted and the highs and the lows that she goes through. Oh my god, this book is insanely intense. It's very heavy, it's very emotional, so I must say, read the trigger warning. But what a beautiful character Eleanor Oliphant is. I just want to hug her so much. I mean, if she was real, I would never leave her side ever. I would want to be with her forever. Next we have Lilith by Nikki Marmari. This is the story of Lilith, who is actually the first woman of the world with Adam, and she's just going about her life and keeping Adam happy till one day she has the fruit of knowledge and she realizes, wait, hold on bro, like I am not born in this world, I am not made to serve you, Adam. What are you saying? After this awakening, she's thrown out of the paradise, and we see her journey from there after she has realized what the truth of the world is, after she has woken up as a woman who is sufficient and powerful within herself. And you see her journey of recognizing all the power that she has within herself and how she then moves ahead to save the world. This, even though it's fictional and mythological and it's fantasy, it is so real to like this real world. First of all, when it comes to women just waking up one day and realizing, hold on, just them realizing their worth, that in itself is so amazing in this book. But apart from that too, if you don't go into that, Lilith as a character is so insanely strong and she's such a badass. It is amazing. So if you want to see the journey of a badass whose entire life is disrupted because she now knows the truth, and you want to see how she's coping with it, then this is your book. I think every single woman should read this book. I don't care, just like read this book. And I need every man out there to read this book too. Okay, just please read this book and just see what it is like to be a woman. By Taylor Jenkins Reid. We have another book which is Carrie Soto's Back by I was gonna say Evelyn Hugo. Carrie Soto is back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is the story of Carrie Soto, who is the world's greatest player in her times, tennis player, but then she retires and then now she has to come back because she needs to do something, like for some reasons. And you see how she comes back. Yet again, another character whose entire life is disrupted by something and she has to build herself up from scratch. It's fast paced, it's binge worthy, the language is easy. Carrie Soto is such, yet again, a badass. Oh my god. People think she's rude and she's brash when she's just making her point. Like, she's just being honest. God, it's amazing. I highly recommend this book and I love this book so much. Next is A Man Called Avi by Frederick Backman, which is the story of a man called Avi who has lost his wife, and when he lost his wife, he has lost all meaning and all color in his own life. And now you see how he is coping up with it and what his future looks like once he has lost his wife. Please read the trigger warnings for this book too. There are also side characters which don't really feel like side characters at all because they play such a huge role in this book that makes it so heartwarming. And then there are flashbacks of Avi and his wife and how they met and their entire relationship, which is so heartwarming. So even though it is a gut-wrenching book, be prepared for that. I think it is one book that you cannot miss out on because it shows you the beauty of the world, it shows you the pain of the world, it shows you the beauty of love, the tragedy of it. Next we have Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, which is a YA novel. This is the story of Asa and how she deals with her mental health basically, and it is based on the entire philosophy of Turtles All the Way Down because Asa overthinks a lot. Like, and when I say a lot, if you are like, you just can't stop the voices in your head and you want a character like that, then this is your book. It's perfect, it's validating, it's also heartwarming, it's inspiring. And John Green yet again writes in such a philosophical manner, but the philosophies he writes about is not really hard to grasp. It's metaphorical, it's so easy, it's the simplest language in the world, but it impacts you deeply. Next we have Happiness Falls by Angie Kim, which is the story of Mia, whose father has gone missing, and now Mia is just looking at everything from a very retrospective manner and Mia is a very analytical, overly analytical person. She also overthinks a lot, which instantly attached me to the character of Mia. And apart from that, it is the story of this family because there are other members too who are major parts of this book and their search for the father and the husband of the family. It is heartwarming, it's also very sad at points. It made me way more aware of the angel man syndrome, which I barely knew anything about, what that is like. You will love this book if you're an analytical person. Like, this will be the best book for you ever. If you don't like analytics, if you don't like analyzing people and analyzing feelings, then you may get bored with it. But if you're like me, because I just love analyzing and intellectualizing feelings and things, so that's why I love this book. Happiness has been defined in a very unique manner. It has equations and theories, and I have never seen happiness be defined like that. So even though that informational part was a little heavy for me and I was not able to understand it properly, if you are an analytical, mathematical, scientific person, then I think you will really enjoy this book. Next up I have some romances for you guys. Like, imagine you get these life affirmations along with romance in it. First up we have The Burnout by Sophie Kinsella. It is the story of Sasha, who doesn't even have the time to cook, who doesn't have the time to look at herself because of how overworked she is, but she's obsessed with her work. And one day something happens because of which she just comes to a conclusion that she's burned out, and then you see the journey she takes on to get out of that burnout. Now this could have been so intense, but because it is Sophie Kinsella, who is the warmest writer ever, like, it is so warm and it is so funny in places, and because there is romance in it, it makes it much more lighter and easier to consume. Even then I have cried like 2-3 times when I was reading this book, especially towards the end of the book. Like, oh my god, it was so amazing. It's beautifully written, the setting is so summery with like beaches, and the side characters are funny and beautiful and heartwarming. The romance doesn't even come into the book till like 110 pages, and that would have been a problem for me but I just love the fact that the main character Sasha and her burnout is the center of the book. Very easy to read and it doesn't have spice in it. Next we have two books by Emily Henry. We have Happy Place and Funny Story. Happy Place is the story of Harriet and Win. It's their romance, but along with that, this one is literally the best book ever when it comes to what happens when two people who, even though they love each other from the depths of their heart, are just not compatible for each other, at least at a certain time, like how it impacts them, how it impacts their individual lives. And if you're going through relationship issues, I think this is the best book you can read. Apart from that, even if you're not going through relationship issues, the characters, not just Harriet and Win, but also her other friends, all of them have their unique personalities and all of them are dealing with their own stuff, and just seeing their journey is very inspiring. So I highly recommend this book. This also has no spice. And then we have Funny Story, which is the story of two people whose exes are now getting married and these people become friends. Daphne and Miles, both of them. Oh god, you go really deep into their past. You see how their past and the way they have grown up has affected them, which I love, and how it is affecting their capacity to have a relationship. There are so many concepts in this book that has inspired me in my real life. It's funny, it has fake dating in it. Now this book does have spice for teenagers, ta-ta, but the spice is not intense. It is relevant to the story, so it's fine, and I just love this book. And with that, we come towards the end of the video. I think this video is going to be really long, but I hope that the timestamps help you. I love you guys so much, and I hope you pick up at least one book out of these. I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye.